gentlemen, please welcome Mladen Stojic.
Hello, and welcome to the Hexagon Geospatial Keynote for 2019. As you saw from the title of the presentation, today we will uncover and really go into depth with regards to the power of connection. Whether it's a network, an ecosystem, relationships, or behaviors, they're all connected. But no person is an island. Our societies are connected. Our Earth and its associated geography are also connected. Our actions have consequences, and our decisions, whether we know it or not, have an impact. Thousands of you traveled to Las Vegas for this event. But did you stop and think for a second about the process that got you here and everything that's involved in bringing you to this show? It starts with a budget. Your company allocated a budget for you to travel here. You booked at the right time, you got a good price, you got the seat you wanted, and you got on that plane. Thankfully, the weather that day was great, so your flight left on time, and you also landed on time. Your luggage arrived, so no worries there, and your Uber was waiting for you as soon as you picked up your bags. Your room was ready when you checked in, and you were able to drop off your bags. You went downstairs, you ate at Yardbirds, which I would recommend, by the way, and had some great fried chicken. Then you went to the floor of the casino, and you had a great night. You woke up the next morning, you went to the gym, you're all refreshed, and you started your day. These are all experiences that came together, that were all connected to bring you here to Las Vegas this week. But what would happen if something went wrong and something didn't go according to plan? Let me share with you an experience I had not long ago when I flew from, or at least I tried to fly from Hanover back to Atlanta. I showed up at the Hanover airport at around 7 a.m., only to discover that my Air France flight to Paris was canceled, and they told me to go to the Lufthansa desk, which I did. Upon getting to that desk, they said, listen, we have 3 connections for you to get back to Atlanta, and you'll arrive around 1 a.m. in the morning, each connection being about 50 minutes. And I said, that's not going to work. I went back to the Air France desk, and I asked them, knowing that Hanover, of course, is close to Amsterdam, I asked them, is there a flight leaving in the afternoon to Amsterdam? And they said there was, and there was availability at 4 p.m. I said, hold on. I went downstairs to ground transportation, and I met a new friend, Ollie. I asked Ollie, how long would it take for you to drive me to Amsterdam, and what would be the cost? He said, 4 hours, 800 euro. I did the math. I'm like, OK, fair enough. Let's do it. Ollie, wait. I go back upstairs. I asked them to issue the ticket. No change fee whatsoever. That was cool. And Ollie and I started a journey. And it was a great trip. I met a new friend. Ollie had lived in Germany for 30 years and never left the country. So imagine me and Ollie in a taxi getting to Amsterdam. It was a fun experience, but it all worked out, unfortunately, and we had a good time. But what's the point? What's the point of this story? From the various bad travel experiences I had in the past, I assessed my options. But specifically, I made a choice. I made a choice to proactively influence change and not just accept what was being given to me. And I analyzed what could happen if I decided to stay with those 3 Lufthansa flights. But I also knew what should happen so that I could get home with less hassle and at a reasonable time so I can go to my son's baseball travel tournament the following day. And I actually participated in what will happen. All of these processes and that whole thought process are connected. And I'll talk a little bit about 5D, but this, in essence, was a 5D experience. We live in a world of connected ecosystems, ecosystems that operate within our sites, within our cities, and also within our nations. Each ecosystem is a connected series of relationships, networks, processes, all working together to form and influence our collective experience. But let's unpack this a little further. Whether it's a building, an airport, or a factory, all of them have their own connected set of operations and systems. When you connect multiple sites together through a series of infrastructure networks, we begin to form villages, towns, and cities. And then, of course, cities and states operate within a nation where the national interests of citizens are protected and ultimately preserved. But at the heart of our societies are us, people, of course. And we live and operate within these sites, within these cities, and within these nations as they begin to form a series of autonomous, connected ecosystems. Here at Hexagon and Hexagon Geospatial, we are enabling connections within these ecosystems to ensure operational efficiency. Let's look at what this means for you and the geospatial industry. Connecting geospatial technology with operational workflows helps us achieve organizational efficiencies. The geospatial world, of course, has always been focused on the upstream acquisition, processing, and management and distribution of mapping data, geospatial information. Whereas the operational world consumes that content and ultimately takes that data, analyzes it so you can take action in the respective industry that you operate in. In smart solutions, the life cycle loop from acquisition to action ultimately needs to be shortened. And with autonomous connected ecosystem, that's the vision of Hexagon and what we at Hexagon Geospatial also work towards achieving. We call this the GeoOps challenge. And this challenge needs to bridge the divide between the geo world on the one hand and the operational world on the other hand. And in many organizations, these two worlds, frankly speaking, are very disconnected. So we're working towards bridging these two worlds to unleash the power of location intelligence. And that's what the power of connection is ultimately all about. Let's look at a specific example of how sustainable operations can be improved in order to increase agricultural productivity while supporting national policies equally across multiple countries. Geospatial capabilities integrated within operational workflows are being used today to solve issues involving the distribution of funds, otherwise subsidies, to farmers as part of the European Union's Common Agriculture Policy, otherwise known as CAP. CAP provides farmers across Europe with over 50 billion euro annually of funds and subsidies. The major goals of the policy are to ensure a stable supply of affordable food for everyone while also making sure that farmers could make a reasonable living. Agrarmarket of Austria, otherwise known as AMA, acts as a certified paying agency for the policy, receiving approximately 1.5 billion euro from the European Union to fairly divide amongst 120,000 farmers within Austria. More recently, AMA ran into an issue. Land area, of course, is a deciding factor for granting funding requests to farmers. But some of those requests included land that couldn't actually be used for farming, such as rocky or tree-covered areas. Therefore, they needed a way to ensure the right calculations were being made in order to ensure the appropriate allotment of funds. AMA worked with our German partner GEOSYSTEMS GmbH to implement a machine learning-based solution called the Integrated Accounting and Control System. Data was collected regularly over the same area for Austria, sourcing content from Planet and EU's Copernicus program. The data was then fed into an AI deep learning-based spatial recipe developed within Erdos Imagine. And this automatically extracted over 36 different vegetation types from that content. That includes trees, low vegetation, grass, etc. These information layers were directly used within AMA's Map Enterprise implementation. Here you can see some of the results associated with these spatial recipes. Each area represents a parcel that has requested a subsidy for the farmer. You can see that the vegetation information is mapped onto each parcel. And for something like cattle grazing, there are two factors that influence whether or not a subsidy is given. That includes the vegetation and the slope associated with the parcel. On the right-hand side, you can see some of the information from the vegetation layer used to calculate how much vegetation is actually there. On the left-hand side, you can see vegetation makeup for the given parcel. And of course, this is predominantly vegetation. So this meets the guidelines defined by the EU. If we look at other areas that have requested a subsidy, we can also see that some areas actually do not warrant getting a subsidy because they're covered by non-vegetation. Cows do not eat trees, so those parcels, of course, would not receive a subsidy. We look at slope as another deciding factor to assess whether or not a subsidy is given. By superimposing this parcel information onto a slope, we also can filter information by slope type. For example, cows cannot eat vegetation on 45 degrees of slope. They can't stand and eat that way. That's just not possible. So these factors, of course, influence the allotment and the subsidies given to farms. So merging geospatial information with operational information connected to an accounting system helps AMA establish the allotment of funds that are ultimately given to farmers to support the EU's CAP program. Connecting the geo and ops world helps us achieve a smart digital reality. And of course, this starts with being able to understand in real time what is happening at a given location. Leveraging the past and the archives of historical data, we can understand what has happened at a given site or location. We can simulate possibilities of what could happen while optimizing our options to assess what ultimately should happen. And ultimately, we want to do this in order to predict and participate in what will happen. That's that whole 5D concept I talked about previously, which of course gives us 5 dimensions of location intelligence. At this conference, we're very happy to announce an upcoming release of Map Enterprise 2019, which now allows our customers to build solutions with a 5D location intelligence experience. To bridge the divide between the static and dynamic world and static and dynamic sources between the geo world and the ops world, and to experience 5 dimensions of location intelligence, we have combined the powerful GPU Luciad engine into the chassis and framework of the Map Enterprise platform, creating a comprehensive real-time 5D location intelligence platform. And it's this platform that's being used to build solutions like you just saw with AMA that can be deployed on the desktop, on the cloud, but also now on the edge. By integrating the Luciad engine inside of Map Enterprise, we now have the ability to connect to not only 2D data, but also 3D data sets. Here's an example of direct connectivity with content produced from PPM's suite of software solutions and products. It doesn't stop there. We could integrate and directly connect to GIS databases, CAD data sets, BIM data sets, and so forth. With this integration, Map Enterprise allows you to create business workflows in order to better deliver real-time location intelligence solutions. As we move beyond static representations of digital reality, operators need to have updated real-time situational awareness within a site. This provides a real-time 3D dashboard that tracks the movement of assets within a site, within a city, but also within a nation. Adding advanced routing analytics and capabilities within the site allows the system to automatically calculate the safest routes depending on road and vehicle characteristics in order to avoid damage and to reduce the risk of problems arising as a result of a fatal collision. And this is particularly the case in petrochemical sites and other sites where toxic materials are being worked on. If and when something does go wrong, Map Enterprise now allows us to model the impacts of simulated events, and that's what you're looking at here. The solution allows us to create sophisticated 5D dashboards that simulate and monitor change as it occurs. Here we see the simulation of a chemical plume caused by an explosion and the impact to the population of Denver. And it's not just 2D. Now we have 3D analysis and analytics that can happen within a web browser. The impact could be visualized by time slices and other attributes in order to better understand what the impact could be to the general population. Connecting to a distributed network of sensors within a city now allows you to measure chemical concentrations in the air as the movement of that plume changes based on wind, land cover type, and other environmental factors. The visualization of discrete sensor points supports the analysis of the plume as it changes in 5D. And as this plume develops and spreads, other sensors within the IoT network within a city can then be triggered off, thereby providing more insight in order to better understand the impact to citizens and others within the city as change occurs. All of this, of course, now being possible with the MAP Enterprise platform, hence with the Luciad integration. Solving the GeoOps challenge was one of the main reasons Hexagon made an exciting acquisition earlier this year. To talk about that, I'd now like to welcome AJ Clark, who's the president of Thermopylae Science and Technology, to the stage. How's it going, AJ? So, AJ, I know you've been with us, what, 2 months now?
Yeah, just
about.
Like
2 months. Tell us, maybe to start off, tell us about Thermopylae and what Thermopylae does.
Well, first of all, thank you for allowing me to join you on stage, and thank you all for attending this session. We are thrilled at Thermopylae to be part of the Hexagon family. It's been a phenomenal experience, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Some wonderful people, and we're really excited about all the technologies that we can now bring together with our organization. The future is amazing, and where we're going is going to be really incredible. But we'll start with where we began. We began in 2007. Thermopylae was founded with a focus on the U.S. federal space. Our goal was to work with geotechnologies, take complex geotechnologies, and then bring them to a broader community than just the GIS user. We wanted to start with user-friendly and intuitive Google Maps and Google Earth capabilities because we knew that hundreds of millions of users use those every day in their day-to-day lives. They could identify with them. So something that's used that predominantly seemed like a great place to start, if you like simple. We wanted to take those complex GIS capabilities and deliver it in a simple fashion to federal customers in a disconnected environment, disconnected being an important part of that. Things like imagery and maps, terrain data, vector content like roads and rivers. We wanted that to be packaged up in a gold standard for our users, regardless of how they connected into it. Content ranging from satellite imagery of entire continents down to drone-collected imagery that allowed users to see centimeter-level detail in the tiles of a courtyard was all part of the capabilities that we offer to our user set.
That's awesome, AJ.
Although we really focus on disconnected, everything we do is born in the cloud. We want to be able to have it designed so it functions seamlessly in a disconnected environment, though, if necessary. So that's a core element of our value proposition. We think that taking cloud scale, high-performing technologies, and then breaking them down to run on something like a mobile device for a non-geo expert is critical. So that's kind of where we started. About 5 years ago, though, we began working a lot more aggressively, trying to get into the private sector, as we saw similar problems where simple geo tools like industries such as energy and utilities and insurance could use that same model.
Okay. So you and I know as part of the various discussions we had before, I shared the 5D vision with you, and where we're going, where Hexagon is going, and clearly we saw alignment early on. What's your take on that, and how do you see Thermopylae fitting into fulfilling, or at least helping us fulfill that vision and strategy?
Yeah. From Thermopylae, we started embracing a 5D vision really as far back as 2015 with our Luciad partnership. What we wanted to do was we wanted to take the best of the Google Maps and the Google Earth experience and then combine it with Luciad's fast visualization and analytics technology across large volumes of data. We felt that their 3D API, our engineers fell in love with that. We thought that, as well as their ability to manage 3D point clouds and 3D mesh files, was going to be integral to the next generation of geotechnologies that our growing customer base at the time was just absolutely clamoring for.
And I know you guys benchmarked, like any engineering firm would do, you benchmarked the technology against open source and other commercially available products, and not to tout our own horn, but you went with the Luciad stack.
Absolutely. We had no incentive at the time other than it was the most performant, and it really looked like it had the longest shelf life and next generation kind of capabilities that we needed. So what I would say is Thermopylae has, we've approached smart digital cities for years. In our mind, the smart digital reality encompasses, it's made up of sensors for collecting your data, software for processing your data, and then analytics for making sense of all that data. And ultimately, that involves using the knowledge that you've collected to solve everything from a really high priority mission critical issue all the way down to maybe just a routine monitoring of one of your systems. And our history in delivering a package of sensors, software, content, and then the services to provide value to our end customers was just a natural fit with this whole Hexagon 5D vision.
Yeah, absolutely. I know the Google announcements, I think it was around 2014, 2015, when they made a decision to go in a direction with regards to focus on consumer markets and customers, perhaps caused a concern within the professional market. And I know you and your team have always had a good and solid relationship with Google. But talk a little bit more about that. Talk about what you've done with Google, what the opportunity was, how you've stepped up in order to tackle the opportunity and ultimately preserve the investments that have been made in the past with regards to some of the enterprise capabilities that Google had implemented.
Yeah, Google has been core to a lot of our background. I would say that there's, if I think about the history with them, there's 3 phases of that relationship. And at the start of our company in that first phase, we really focused on Google Earth Enterprise. That was a core technology that we resold into the federal space. And then we worked with Google on the roadmap for it as well. So we had a lot of influence. The second phase began, as I alluded to earlier, about 5 years ago, when we began getting more involved in the private sector business with Google Maps. This is when we were able to really start scaling the volume of our customers that we served with the Google technology. In the third phase, we were able to take over the development of the Google Earth Enterprise software product and expand on it. And that's what brought us into this robust platform that's called Google Earth Enterprise Platform, or GEEP for short.
And GEEP is it's a commercially available product that you deliver and provide not only to the federal space, but other customers who have a need for that deployment of 3D globes, both on-site, in theater, in the field, and so forth.
Yeah, that's the really cool thing here. So you got Google's architecture, their infrastructure, their maps. Everybody knows that you got all these users, but we're able to take that into an environment that could be disconnected, whether that's a military environment, if it's into an oil field, wherever that is. So it gives users this same seamless experience.
Right.
And our geospatial expertise gave us a foundation for building solutions and coaching customers on that Google technology stack. That first phase with Google was really focused on the disconnected enterprise user. But the second one was about connected users that wanted to build solutions on that Google Maps API and then leverage Google's cloud architecture. Then the third phase, took us back into that disconnected space where we applied everything we learned to deliver Google Earth Enterprise in that GEEP capability. I think that at the same time, a really important goal for us over the last 5 years was to ensure that all of those federal users, hundreds of thousands of them that depended on Google Earth Client, Google Maps, had a continued access to Google Earth in their disconnected environments. We felt a sense of loyalty to them, and that's one of the reasons why we really invested to ensure that that capability could continue in a disconnected space.
Yeah, I know there was a tremor in the industry when all that sort of unfolded and came out, and clearly recognized that you guys stepped up and picked it up and ultimately preserved what was done in the past.
Yeah, and I think now we're operating at the culmination of a decade of over 10 years, partnering with Google that span working for them as a trusted software development firm, which is not always easy, but very worthwhile. And then we've took one of their core products, Google Earth Enterprise, and then through our own development efforts, we've took it into an exciting new capability with Jeep.
Okay. So with all that said, if you look at your existing customer base and also internally within Hexagon and our distributed network of customers and partners, what's your view, what's your vision of how things will unfold and where we can go with this great set of unified offerings and capabilities?
Yeah, that's where it gets really exciting. I think just like with the Luciad acquisition, Hexagon can benefit from the injection of new engineers, new ideas, and then that gritty entrepreneurial spirit that we've had at Thermopylae as a small business that came up to the point where we were. And I think what you're going to see with Thermopylae entering the Hexagon family and operating through Hexagon US Federal, which I might add is an awesome place for us to land. We've really developed close partnerships with the folks over there. I can't say enough good things about them, which is really, really helpful when you come into a large organization like Hexagon. So thank you to their leadership. But collectively, what we see is a broadening of our capabilities. Hexagon's going to bring a lot of additional tools that provide our customers new seamless ways to get the same capabilities plus more. And then we're going to, vice versa, do the same with Hexagon. We're going to try to take some of our capabilities like Jeep and then move that through the Hexagon market channel. But most importantly, customers aren't going to have to struggle with the integration between all these different vendors. They're going to benefit from this entire next generation technology stack from Thermopylae, from Hexagon, from the other partners in the ecosystem. And it's all under one strategic umbrella. And that's going to be from sensors to content to software.
Yeah, and that, I know early on, that was one of the unique factors that helped, convince us that we were very much aligned with where you're going. Once again, given Hexagon's portfolio of the world's most comprehensive network of sensors, software, and then of course the industry knowledge in order to wrap all that up into a smart solution and deploy it in the various industries that we serve. So that, as you agree, that's where we found alignment.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that customers can now benefit too from a team that has access to traditional GIS tools, evolving visualization and analysis tools, and one that is investing in the bleeding edge geotechnologies of tomorrow. That's what really attracted us to this partnership. We plan to leverage the massive user adoption of Google Earth and Maps. There's so many people out there that use it. They don't even know they're using geo tools, but it's prevalent everywhere. And we're going to combine that with the on-premise scalability of Luciad tools, integrate some of those traditional GIS features, and then expose all of this out through a modern platform that integrates with new content-producing sensor technologies.
So if we go and look at a very specific use case or example that exemplifies, Jeep and that fusion of sensors, software wrapped around a solution, what would be the perfect use case?
Well, my favorite is Artemis. Okay. This stands for Aerial Reconnaissance, Tactical Edge, Mapping and Imagery System. Artemis uses a small fixed-wing drone to collect imagery, and then it couples it with software for processing that imagery. The drone and its onboard sensors organically can collect 3-centimeter level of imagery of an area. And then we use Jeep. It allows us to combine that high-resolution imagery with the satellite imagery, terrain data, and then your vector content. And then we expose all of that out to users via Google Earth, Google Maps, Luciad RIA, whatever we have access to. The system also delivers 3D terrain files, and those are added to Jeep to provide ultra high resolution terrain renderings. The entire package operates in a fully disconnected state so that a team of soldiers in the field are capable of collecting, processing, and then visualizing this imagery or terrain data in a matter of hours from when they first do the flight. Then that content can be shared with other applications too. It can also go into a networked environment and share with a broader group of users. I got to be honest. I mean, I think this is a game changer, right? It's something that has been a need in the military for a long time. They've struggled to support disconnected users with better maps, better situational awareness, particularly in areas that are off the beaten path. So it's tremendously exciting to see where this is going. But most importantly, it's really easy. The training is not that difficult. Artemis system is something that has a wide variety of operators with various skill sets, and they could rapidly apply it within a few days. A flight plan is developed. The plane goes out 45, 90 minutes, flies its route, and then the imagery is collected. You got terrain, you got imagery, but you can also create point clouds and 3D mesh files with it, which we can combine with Jeep or bring in the Luciad stack to give a much more rich and detailed 3D experience for somebody who didn't even start with an updated map. So I think as we integrate with a broader network of content-producing sensors, what we're going to see is tools like Jeep really being instrumental to realizing a 5D strategy for any industry that values location-based data.
Awesome, awesome. AJ, it's great to have you on the team.
Good to be here.
I feed off your passion. The passion of you and the team clearly is a great injection into the team. So it's good to be here with you. For those of you here at Hexagon Live, we do have a session tomorrow at 8 a.m. So if you want to see more about Jeep and what the Thermopylae team has done with this great work together with Google, please take the time to go to that session. So awesome.
Thanks a lot, Mladen.
Thanks.
Thanks, folks.
Yep.
See ya.
So a great example of what's possible through the Fusion, as AJ showed, with sensors, with software, all wrapped around a solution. Getting back to the idea of connections and really to help support some of the mission-critical operations, just like you saw here, where the safety and security of people, citizens are concerned, we need to effectively allow for easy access to information and insights as events on the ground unfold, just like you saw in the Artemis example. What does this require? It requires direct access to and connections to all sources of both static and dynamic sources in real time. And that's really the key, and that's the kicker. To bring all this together, the operational implementation of 5D dashboards coming to fruition, we need to be able to provide common operating pictures of events as they unfold on the ground. DEXEF, one of our partners in Mexico, has just done that. They've created a solution called OnCan. OnCan is a situational awareness system that brings together a number of data feeds to help decision makers understand what is happening in real time. The system can combine drone footage, helicopter camera information, traffic information, and any other number of data feeds all into one common operating picture. The system also provides capability for voice exchange, text messages, and delivering preset defined orders in order to take action into the field. This fusion of geospatial data and operational information makes this capability a great solution for multi-departmental collaboration to support mission-critical operations. And if you want to learn more about this system, we are showing it here at Hexagon Live, and I would certainly encourage you to attend the DEXEF session that will be talking about this in much greater detail. Looking beyond insights, now let's turn our attention and focus to what it means to understand the impact of an event as it unfolds. Because our sites, our cities, and our nations are all connected, the impact of an event sets off a chain reaction that can trigger a whole host of issues and problems. This is certainly the case when you look at something like a flood and the impact a flood could have on lives, health, property, infrastructure, food, and ultimately safety. Using the SmartMap platform, our partner in the UK, Ambiental, built a real-time monitoring solution that forecasts flood risk based on various input content layers, such as elevation, such as land cover, such as green space, and so forth. This solution fuses all that multi-source content with advanced algorithms to identify areas of highest flood risk and impact. So the blue areas you see here on the map are forecasted areas affected by the flooding. And the lighter the color, the higher the risk. So the system is calculating in real time the forecast for the coming hours based on the water count as rain continues to fall from the sky. And that's a real-time monitoring solution delivered to us through this 5D dashboard, once again built using the SmartMap platform. Not only can we see an overview of the whole area, but we could also examine some of the places at risk in detail. And we could get a clear indication of some of the infrastructure and property that will be affected by the flood. The operator can filter infrastructure by the risk severity and can also learn more about the places at risk. And if necessary, Street View, as you just saw, can be launched to add and provide additional insight. The application allows for constant monitoring of flood forecast to understand the risk. It also helps improve the monitoring of the situation as the flood event extends and expands. And this, of course, helps us improve the way we could plan for mitigating that risk and ultimately addressing the issue as the event unfolds on the ground. So a great example by our partner in the UK, Ambiental. So far, we have seen examples of how we could obtain insights and understand impacts by connecting multiple sources of data together through the implementation of dashboards and real-time intelligent operations centers. For the insight to truly matter, you have to be able to act on it, and you have to be able to achieve real and measurable results. Take, for example, an issue that seems quite simple because we probably experience it often as we drive, like a pothole opening up and expanding on the surface of a road. On the surface, sending out a crew to fix and pave over that pothole seems like the right idea, right? But has the underlying problem really been fixed and solved? That simple pothole may actually be representative of a much bigger and much broader problem. The pothole could be caused by a leaking pipe underneath the road. And if that's the case, then a sinkhole could form, and then we have a much, much more bigger, complicated issue to deal with. So instead of a simple workflow, you have to involve all sorts of other departments in order to address the issue: the water department, traffic, emergency services, the public safety, the roads, utilities, gas, sewer. All of them have to come together in order to address the issue. Businesses then start to lose money, traffic routes have to be adjusted, utility services are disrupted, and ultimately residents may have to be displaced. We've seen this happen in Florida and other parts of the world. Our partner, Planetech Italia, created a solution using the SmartMap platform that allows you to explore the root cause of the problem in the infrastructure network. The Reticus solution uses satellite data collected over a period of time in order to automatically detect minute changes in surface displacement in order to determine where the ground movement is occurring before a serious problem starts to develop. Understanding the movement of the ground allows them to pinpoint where the utility leaks may be in order to support preventative and proactive measures before it becomes a serious problem. Let's see how one of their customers, the Hera Group in Bologna, Italy, has achieved measurable results leveraging the SmartMap platform using the Reticus solution.
Utilities companies spend a lot of money maintaining their networks and fighting against structural problems. European utility companies generally face costs per repair ranging between 2.5 and 5,000 euros per kilometer.
ERA is now among the nation's largest multi-utilities, working mainly in the environment, water and energy sectors. With almost 9,000 employees, the ERA Group meets the needs of 4.4 million citizens in over 350 municipalities in Emilia-Romagna, Friuli-Venezia Giulia, Marche, Tuscany and Veneto. We supply 291 million of square meters per year of water through 34,900 kilometers of water pipelines, and we manage a network of 14,800 kilometers of sewage pipelines.
ERA needed to reduce the costs related to the maintenance of its sewer system.
Ground motion of only a few centimeters around buried pipelines can cause leaks in the pipes. These leaks can then accelerate the erosion around the problem area, disrupting service and possibly creating larger problems. ERA had been searching for a method to better understand the scenario of ground surface movements caused by the structural defect of its collector.
With Reticus Network Alert being powered by Map Enterprise, we can discover subsidence and ground movements through satellite monitoring before they become critical.
The data is automatically refreshed each month, providing up-to-date information. This data can provide changes in the ground level with millimeter accuracy.
Map Enterprise allows us to combine the results of radar satellite interferometry with many other field data, thus improving the effectiveness of inspections by 40%.
Hexagon solution simplifies the integration of this data.
The highly visual dashboard provides extremely intuitive indicators.
This allows us to target inspections, manage priorities and possibly prevent the most serious damages in our network.
It is such a flexible tool that we can also integrate machine learning algorithms and connect them in the sequence of processes that are automatically launched every month to update the data in the dashboard. The results of this machine learning will yield results more and more reliable and useful for identifying in advance the problems in sewage pipelines.
The availability of fresh information on ground, buildings and infrastructure stability in an easy-to-use dynamic dashboard ensures timely and informed decisions on the management of our valuable infrastructure.
Hexagon technology plays a fundamental role in enabling the big data management and analysis.
Instead of spending time analyzing data, we can focus on inspecting and fixing problems before they become disasters, saving money and keeping citizens happy.
So another great example of how when you combine content together with a solution wrapped around a smart industry problem, we can deliver a smart solution. And that's what we at Hexagon and Hexagon Geospatial are really aiming to do with the advancements that we've made within the map and smart map platform, ultimately bringing all this together in order to gain insight, understand impacts, and ultimately deliver results that really matter. Today I'm going to ask you to also establish connections, starting right here at Hexagon Live. As you've already done, continue to meet new people, commit to building and strengthening existing relationships, but also connecting through new people and building new connections beyond this conference. Don't leave here just with a business card. Leave here with a new business plan that leverages the technology and some of the capabilities that we've spoken about in order to deliver these smart solutions to your customer. I'd also like to challenge you to establish and understand the connections within your operational ecosystems that you live and work in every day. Get a clear picture of the way your actions and your decisions affect the people, the places, and the things around you. In order to meet any challenge, we at Hexagon provide you with the world's most comprehensive set of capabilities that will help you uncover the power of connection. Thank you very much, and make sure you stop by the zone if you haven't already done so to see some of these capabilities in action. Have a great conference. Thank you very much.